My name's Keith Omar. Was in Campus News from 2001 to 2003.
Kami Libaridian.
My name is Kimberly Chang, and I am from the year 94 to 97. So I actually started there as a freshman.
My name is Christina Scasio. Am I supposed to look at the camera?
So look there.
Okay.
Look at me, right here.
I guess I did have one of the weirdest beginnings in the
Talk to
Campus News. I did have one of the weirdest beginnings in Campus News because I actually started off as the Campus News, the Media Center janitor in 9th grade. And then I just got into all the technical stuff, and Haas, I think, jumped me into 1B in the 10th grade. And then he was talking about having me go into Campus News. Thought I'd be really good in that, and I'm like, I don't know, but okay, fine. And I guess he noticed that I liked computers and he wanted me to do technical directing. And so what was kind of cool for me is, as a 10th grader, I was hanging out with all these seniors who were already in Campus News and who were teaching me how to use the toaster and the main editing stuff, and that was pretty cool.
I remember actually the first time Haas ever considered me to go into Campus News. He's like, hey, he should work on the toaster. I'm like, toaster, what's that? Like, I knew the microwave and the kitchen was back there. I'm like, toaster? So, I mean, I guess I owe it all to Haas. He's the one that, I guess, saw something in me.
One day I actually had one of those a message from the office, and they asked me to deliver it to Mr. Hawes' class, and I've never ever heard of the media center or the telecommunications department before. And I just walked in and I saw all this, like, the studio and the studio equipment, and they had the anchor's desk and the set, and all these students were there, and I just thought, wow, how do I get into this program? It looks so sophisticated and just, you know, cutting edge. It wasn't like any of the other classes and electives that we had offered at Marshall. So I signed up with my counselor and started in telecommunications 1A, and we basically just, you know, learned all the definitions about the business and what this means and, you know, how to use a camera, and it was so boring. I was like, what am I doing here? It's not even, you know, remotely interesting. And then eventually, for our final project, we were able to go out and do a 3-minute package on anything that we wanted to.
I got in that because leadership and all the other extracurricular activities were crap, because all they cared about was like being too popular, and if you're not popular enough, then you can't be in it. I mean, I remember I couldn't get in what is that, like leadership or something, because I couldn't get enough signatures or something like that. Like, they, you know, it was just popularity contest. Campus News was more open in a sense like that. I don't know, people there were just like, especially because when I came in, it was like Vanessa and everyone, and it was like a family. Like, it wasn't like, oh, okay, these are just classmates.
I don't know, the first class I was with was more like a family. The class of 02, I think. Or no, 01.
Was that already Leahy, or was that still?
No, that was, well, it was Haas, right when Haas left, and it was Leahy.
It just sort of happened. There's nothing hard about it. Like, you know, as long as we're all doing the same thing, you know, we're all learning about the same things, which is cameras and editing and stuff like that. So it was pretty easy.
Oh, they just made me feel welcome. Food was the one thing that kept the class together, you know.
How so?
How so? Every Wednesday we'd, you know, be editing in the edit bays, and just, we'd have a whole table set up, and we'd buy food. We'd go to Albertsons and all these other stores, and, you know, all of us would just congregate and eat in the hallway. And, you know, we're just like a family.
Mr. Hawes would actually coordinate a lot of get-togethers for the Campus News crew. So after we'd wrap, we'd go and, you know, to the House of Pies down the street. Is that what it's called? So after we'd wrap on some of the shows, we'd go and meet up all together at the House of Pies, and, you know, Mr. Hawes would show up and he'd be there, and he was more like a personal friend and mentor and not just a teacher. And so he would meet with my dad, and he would tell my dad, you know, I really feel like Kimberly would do so great in the future, and she's going to be making, you know, $500,000 and up. And just hearing those words from someone like Mr. Hawes really did, you know, motivate me and make me feel good about myself, because as everybody who knows Mr. Hawes, you know, he is like really hard on you. I mean, he cracks the whip, and there's no easy day with Mr. Hawes. I mean, you have to work your butt off just to get a compliment. So for him to say something good about you, it really means that he sees potential. So it's the greatest feeling ever.
He was just really anal retentive and organized, and you know, me being in Aries like him, I saw where he was coming from, and he used terror and other methods, but I mean, he instilled lessons that I think are really valuable. And you know, let's say when I started working professionally, it was so much more lax. Like, people were eating near the editors, leaving shit on pause, and it was just like impossible. I was terrorized by that shit.
I had this big piece of paper on the wall with a cartoon of Haas that said, "Who left my fucking VCR on pause?" And he'd always hate that because it messed up with the heads of the tape deck, right? And man, he wanted everything to be clean. I mean, mainly because he had all this major technical equipment.
We were not supposed to eat anymore. We would still eat. And you know how there's cameras there? We would hide. Like, you know.
I know. Oh, yeah. I
So
remember
the camera,
that.
yeah.
They couldn't see?
Yeah.
It was easier to get in and out of school.
We would ditch, yeah.
I mean,
Where would you ditch and go?
wherever.
Go eat
I
somewhere.
had a car, so I had a car, and you know, I lived like really far away, so I, you know, was one of the first people who had a car. And you can bring one of the old cameras, the one that weren't being used anymore, the big ones, just carry them around and be like, oh yeah, I got to shoot outside.
Even though you didn't
I
do
think,
it
Yeah.
okay, I'm not gonna get in trouble, but
Well, you're
Too
out of
bad.
high
High school's over.
I know.
Ha
Being in campus news, you do get preferential treatment just because everybody kind of, you know, knows that you're responsible because they see you always, you know, lugging this camera around. And it's not like if you're walking around and, you know, they have the tardy sweep, you sometimes can just get by it because, you know, you're doing a story. They think you're doing a story. And a lot of times we were. I mean, we wouldn't use it, you know, we wouldn't take advantage of the benefits or anything like that.
all the time.
No, I never did personally. With Campus News, it was like you have your camera and it's like, see you later, that's your ticket out. You can walk out whenever you want. So that's definitely a perk.
Just the things that when we walk around, it's like we're just constantly joking, and something simple as like getting out of the school because all the gates would be locked. We'd just jump off the fences, and you know, I remember one time me and Vanessa were like racing up to jump to the other side, and
She got over it faster than the guys did, I think.
most of the time.
She got over the fence faster than the guys.
I remember also Special Olympics that we used to have right after rapping. We'd get on the chairs and we'd just push each other off until we get to the green room, and
It was how we cleaned up the set.
I mean, you know, simple things like that. It's just that something so simple that will, you know, keep us together.
We had a lot of fun. I mean, the thing is, like, prior to actually joining Campus News, I would hang out with them in the campus newsroom, like the semester before, because you know Larry and Peter were in it. You know, I'm trying to remember here. It was just good fun.
Yeah, you introduced, for one thing, he introduced, I think, chess.
Yes.
To the class.
And the worst chess segment, or the worst segment ever, on chess, playing the Carmina Burana. Well, hence, but I think it was the most memorable segment ever too.
How did you introduce chess and what happened?
Well, at the time, and still to a degree, I enjoy chess. Like, I think it's a great game. And what happened was Adam Jones was a very big fan of chess. I brought the chess set to class, and I would play Adam, and then other people started getting interested. Peter would play this, you know, Adam would play, Larry started playing, and so like off hours between edits and stuff like that, we would be playing chess, and to a lesser degree Go, but that didn't last. The Go was very difficult. to play.
I mean, I think teachers gave you kind of like a respect. They understood you had other shit going on than this dumb shit they're trying to teach you. So they kind of like just respected that and understood that and realized that you like what you were going to learn in, I don't know, one class or that one thing isn't as important as you spending that time editing for 10 hours straight. Like I'd go into the media center certain days in the morning and then I'd get out and it'd be dark. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's building, you know, I think character for the future.
You just wanted to do your work in campus because it was more fun than reading a book or something, or doing math or something, you know, being in like AP history class, stuff like that. Like you'd rather just be in the green room editing your stuff and getting it done early, working on a new project, getting that in, working with a different type of person this time, stuff like that. And I mean, it was the one thing that I stayed for after school a lot. It's like, if I was getting paid overtime for it, man, I would have made a lot of money.
I would say in the experiences that I had through both Campus News and the Media Academy at Pali, it kind of just, you know, set the stage for continuing to learn about media when it comes to like the way it works and the behind the scenes and like understanding when it comes to like politics and how media is associated with that. And because I learned like how to do it at a young age, I could spend this college time like really delving deeper into it. Let's say someone that had no clue throughout high school and just started learning it in college. And so like with my goals of wanting to produce documentaries, it's kind of like taking what kind of like taking what I learned at Pali when it came to like the creative aspect of making movies and funding and things like that, and then applying it or intertwining it with what I learned from Haas when it came to like journalism, how to tell a story, how to, you know, communicate to John Q. public, you know, all that kind of that kind of thing. And so, you know, it's definitely something I'm really grateful that I had.
So, all right, so it would be like Larry, Peter, and I would be hanging out. She would occasionally, or Janice would occasionally do stories with either Blaze and Peter or Blaze with Peter, you know, or and. Mm-hmm. I would be working with Adam on the FYI. Larry would occasionally work with Melanie or Lilani. Lilani would generally do her stuff with Joey. Yeah, but it was like...
Everyone works with
yeah,
people. Yeah, like that too.
Yeah, because you get familiarized or whatever.
I had one partner off in my campus news years.
Yeah, because I was always with Emily too, and you know how Emily is. She's like always on top of things. So I guess like, oh, I want to be on top of things too. I mean, this is my class. I'm just kidding.
Well, Emily's been there like how long?
I know.
Like every year there seemed to be someone who was kind of either unofficially or officially becomes kind of like the captain of the crew.
Oh, okay.
Right? There was I guess you'd be around when Vanessa was.
Mm-hmm.
So who was it afterwards in your time? Were you kind of one of the top guys?
I would like to think that I was one of them, alongside with Emily, since we had been with the previous class and pretty much everyone else was new. So, I would like to think that Emily and I were pretty much leading everyone else, making sure that everyone's doing the way things we were, you know, used to.
So was it? So did it seem like you two were the top brass? And no one else? Yeah.
Or did you two sort of hold it together for as long as possible?
Yeah, we try to hold it as long as possible, but certain people, you know, definitely stepped up to the plate, and they brought, you know, some leadership to the class. And obviously when Emily left the last semester,
What was that like?
that was like, wow, like it almost felt like I was alone now, because, you know, she was sort of my, you know, buddy.
I remember working with Savitri Young when I was pretty much fresh into Campus News, and I think she was the executive producer at the time, and she was very, very different from me. I mean, I was, you know, more of like, I think, I dressed pretty like conservatively and, you know, just like slacks and, you know, kind of like a conservative shirt, and I was more like a shy girl. And Savitri, she was, you know, really like outrageous, and she was always up with the trends. I mean, she, you know, she looked like my complete opposite. And once we got on the show, we anchored together, and we just got along like that. I mean, the chemistry was there, we clicked, and I just remember thinking how wonderful it is to work with someone who's completely different from me, and yet we just have the same image and the same motivation, and we would just really bounce off of each other, and it was great, a great feeling.
It's pretty diverse, I say.
They were really happy, preppy people.
Yeah, you have to be like happy and like friendly. To
Yeah.
like
But are there some who aren't?
Some who. No, I wouldn't say.
there's probably
I
like
wouldn't say
one
that.
or two that are like, you know, like the like outcasts. Like each semester or something like that. There's only like one or two because they wouldn't do anything. They would just like, while we're talking about, you know, campus news, they're like reading their book like in the corner, kind of thing. There's like one person, I think.
How do you think you got into the class though? If they didn't like
Um,
participate and stuff?
They like the technical stuff, computers.
There was different cliques of people. There's like the people that were really into it, the people that were just kind of into it, and then the people that were just kind of there. And every once in a while it'd be neat because you'd see like little bits of creativity or like talent off of the people that were just kind of like there, you know.
Eder was always running around doing stuff. Eder was part of the sports team, and you know they were always running around having fun. And I mean, there are quite a few people who are just really energetic, and you kind of had to be in the class. Vanessa too, she was always running around, always checking on things because she was a producer most of the time, and so she'd ask you, how's your segment going? You know, she asked me, Jeff, are the slates done? Oh, yeah, sure. When they really weren't.
The leaders or whatever are like the people who like want to do everything. I guess there's always going to be issues because, oh, I want to do everything. But then there's this other girl that, oh, I want to do everything too. So either you have to be like, you know, like the best of friends, or like you guys are, you know, not close to each other. Like, I think me and Emily got along because, you know, we like want to do everything and like we could do it together.
I think Peter was the TD. Jeff was in that TD group.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're in that TD group.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys did they teach you? Did you guys ever bond about?
Yeah, it was sort of like back when we had to actually switch. I
specifically remember having to teach all of the Haas Leahy kids everything when the Last of Us were leaving and whatnot.
About what? You actually had to switch to tape as opposed to.
No.
No.
Jeff had to pass off his TD skills to keep. I remember teaching audio and directing to people, and Vanessa and I marrying to producing.
Mm-hmm.
It was like passing the baton from one generation to the next.
I remember Elvis Stumbergs. He was like this. He was really, really, really sharp. I mean, he was like the go-to technical guy next to Greg. So that's what I remember about him. He was just. No, he wouldn't get picked on. Elvis was like, he was very unique. He was kind of like the adult, wrapped into a student's body. He wasn't like your typical student.
Deidre was really, really cool.
She responded too.
Yeah, she was really, really cool. She was very like, oh, come on, we'd go shooting together, and just it was cool. Where I think certain upperclassmen, like, are you either threatened by the up and coming class, or you're with open arms and saying, hey, come into the mix. So that could be another component as well. How it's like you have the different sort of relationships between underclassmen.
Tim got himself kicked out the same day he got me in.
Yeah. Tim got Kanake in. That's like the only productive thing that he did in the entire class.
It was, and for that we really owe him.
Yeah. Right.
Carlos Nogales was the greatest to be on the anchor desk with because he had like this fantastic voice. I mean, when he'd speak, he'd always be like, "This is Carlos Nogales for Campus News." I mean, he was, so professional, and it was really fun working with him on the anchor desk. It was really nice.
It was a really fun experience. I mean, for me, it was a little different, I guess, than most because I didn't have the long-term experience, and I was probably like one of the shortest members of the cast ever.
Right, but you were around.
Yeah. Well, longer than that, but I mean, I had no technical expertise. I didn't know how to edit or any of that stuff that you learn when you're working under somebody or with somebody. You know, I was just kind of thrust into it, and it didn't last. I did get to go to that like dinner at House of Pies for everybody afterwards, so you know, that was, yeah.
My parents are Cambodian refugees, and they lived in Cambodia during the genocide of the 70s. And so they were taken away, you know, from their homes. All of their belongings were, you know, repossessed and put into concentration camps. And so, you know, a lot of my family died during that time. I never met my grandparents. You know, they were able to escape and come to America through the Red Cross. And they didn't have a penny in their pockets, and they didn't speak a word of English, and they had to start their lives all over.
Do you feel that's why your parents feel like very supportive of your aspirations? This is kind of the American dream for them, to have their daughter see a lot of success in her
Yeah.
chosen field.
I'm a war baby. I mean, I was conceived, you know, during a period of turmoil, and I was born like right after all of that went away, you know, and so I do represent for them kind of a new life and a life of opportunity that they never had. And so that is a lot of pressure, but at the same time, it's a source of why they have so much pride in the work that I do. And just, you know, being able to see me on television, even though it was just on cable access and on channel 58, you know, it was a big deal for them because it is the American dream.
You just didn't
this
care.
this one is like you see like people see you on TV and they kind of like have this kind of like respect for you. I felt like that because people kind of knew you. It's like, oh, you're from Campus News. Yeah. Well, you know.
No, once you have the camera, they're your friends, you know? They're like, oh, I want to be on camera. Film me. Yeah.
Oh God.
So we're like, we're so cool.
In 1999, around January, I think, one of my best friends, right when I walked into school, he's like, Dawson. I'm like, I don't even have blonde hair. And he's like, well, so. And I think it was when Varsity Blues came out too, so.
But I didn't think he looked like him back then. And now I can see it really well. Like even on MySpace, I was like, why do people keep referring to him as Dawson? And then now you're getting, you know, when I saw you walk out, I'm like, oh.
It's the filmmaker in progress.
Yeah, ironic, like weirdly enough, this story is a lot like mine.
That most of the kids who watched it didn't give a shit, which made it very weird to me. Like, and I don't say this out of like a negative place, but it, you know, like, you know, it would come on and it'd be like, oh, Campus News, you know, and very rarely would anybody laugh or get it. So it was like, it felt like, in retrospect, having been part of it and having not been a part of it at the same time, that it was a very insider thing. A lot of the jokes were insider jokes, and it's good in that sense. You know, it built like a little community in school. It brought you technical experience, and it brought you, you know, like journalistic experience. But at the same time, it teaches you one important value about journalism. Most people don't care. And I think that was the most important thing, because if you're going to pursue a career in that, you better realize that half the people who are looking at it don't know how to read, and a quarter of the people who can read don't care, and half of them will disagree with you. Like the half that do care, or the quarter that do care, half of them will disagree with anything you say. So basically, you're very much appealing to 1/16 of the population.
I look back and I only have good memories with everybody that I worked with, and I know sometimes they probably thought I was really anal or a bitch, and I think that was just because I believed in our product so much, you know, in the end product, that I wanted it to be the best, and I wanted our year to stand out so much, and that's why I was just, you know, it has to be done this way, and you know, but when I look back, I forget about all the arguments that we had, and I just remember the good times and, you know, the singing and the dancing and the jokes that we'd crack. And I really, really do want to see a lot of, you know, my old classmates. I want to see Savitri and see how she's doing now. You know, she always had an interest in film, and I want to know if she pursued that. And I want to see Blaze, who was my old, you know, neighbor, and he, you know, he had his funny afro hair, and I want to see if he still has that hair. Adam, Tiffany, Armand, I mean, they were all just great people, and you know, all of them. I really want to know how they're doing now. Probably check them out on MySpace or something.